Hi everyone. Today I'd like to return to 1973, my year-long series looking back at the films from 50 years ago, uh, what they look like then, what they look like today. Now the film we're going to talk about today, I didn't see 50 years ago. In fact, I saw it for the first time a few nights ago. And this is Spirit of the Beehive, a Spanish film directed by Victor Erice. It's his debut film. He only made two other feature films after this film, and it stars the remarkable child actress, 6-year-old Ana Torrent, and who is definitely this is definitely one of the most memorable child performances in cinema history, and it's a very important film, Spirit of the Beehive. In the recent November 2022 Sight and Sound Critics poll, it ranked 84 out of the top 100. On the director's poll, it ranked 72. And it's widely considered to be, if not the greatest film, certainly one of the greatest Spanish films of all time. It's a very poetic, very quiet film. There's not much dialogue. There's really no plot to speak of. But for all of that, it is centered on Frankenstein's monster, of all things. This film is set in 1940. It's a rural Castilian village. There's no movie theater there. It's a very small village, so they depend on a traveling movie caravan that arrives with films periodically. The town crier calls the villagers to come to the performance. There's a makeshift theater in the town center, the town hall, and the villagers do in fact arrive because this is their only form of entertainment in 1940 in a rural Spanish town. And Ana Torrent and her older sister, Isabel, they come with the other children in town with their small chairs. They sit up in the front of the makeshift theater, and then the adults come and sit behind them. But they are all mesmerized by this film. What is the film? It's 1931's Frankenstein, directed by James Whale and starring Boris Karloff as the monster. And Ana is absolutely mesmerized by the film. They're sitting in the front of the theater. She looks up at the screen, and when in the scene where the monster confronts the little girl by the lake, very familiar scene, I'm sure just about everybody, and the little girl is very kind to the monster. And in the supplements, we learned that the cinematographer was sitting right in front of Ana, but at a low angle. So as Ana is looking up at the screen, the camera is looking up at Ana. The director is trying to, because this is a handheld camera, the director is trying to keep the cinematographer as steady as he can be. But it's a documentary moment in film history that is just about as memorable as can be, because it expresses the joy and wonder of a 6-year-old girl, but also the power of cinema, the images of cinema, and how they enter the imagination of this little girl who has these big, wide, curious eyes. So this is a documentary. There's no way, Victor Erice says in the supplements, there's no way I could have directed this reaction from a 6-year-old girl. This is her actual reaction to that scene of the little girl and the monster from Frankenstein. But on the way home from the showing of the film, she asks her older sister, why does the monster kill the little girl? Why did the townspeople kill the monster? And her sister, it's all fake. Nobody killed anybody. It's just a movie. But she likes to play with her younger sister's imaginative view of life, and says, but the monster lives out in the countryside. And it takes this very seriously. She wants to, the rest of the movie is her journey to find the monster. And the background of the story is the Spanish Civil War. This is 1940. The Spanish Civil War was only over about a year. It was a very bloody and very turbulent time, and pitting Spanish people against each other. But Anna's family, it is very much not just implied. We understand that Anna's family was anti-Franco. So this is 1940, is the beginning of Generalissimo Franco's long dictatorship. It went on for almost 40 years, very repressive. Certainly as far as filmmaking goes, it was very censorious. So you had to watch everything you did in making a film that Franco would his minions would say were criticizing the government, criticizing the nation. So there's a disconsolate, gloomy feel amongst this family. Very little dialogue. I don't think the husband, the father, and the mother ever speak to each other. There is dialogue with the children, and we see the mother writing a letter. We see the father. He's a poet. It's implied he is an intellectual, and the rise of Franco is something that people of his ilk are having a hard time adjusting to. So it sounds like it would be a very gloomy film, but there's arid, dusty landscapes, but the visual imagery here is just absolutely superb. And we see the father as a beekeeper. In the actual opening shots of the film, we see him as a kind of monster himself in his beekeeper's outfit, tending to his bees. They even have a semblance of bees in the house itself. And the film has a sort of yellowish glow, honey glow to the film, the bees' honey, especially in the interiors. Every shot is just beautiful. It has very much of a painterly aspect to it. And they talk in the supplements of Vermeer and the yellow light, the lighting of a Vermeer, and also some Spanish painter. So it's a very painterly kind of movie. But its focus is on Anna and Anna's search for the monster, which comes along in a anti-Franco partisan who's on the run, and who she befriends, much as the little girl in Frankenstein befriends the monster. There's even a manifestation in Anna's imagination of the monster itself later on in the film. And so you can read the film. The film is read often as a commentary on life under dictatorship. Not being Spanish, I can't pick up all these references, but certainly it certainly is part of the atmosphere of the film. But also we get Victor Erice's influences, his long shots, the formal beauty of this film is really remarkable. And he is Victor Erice, I guess, made his living. He only made 3 feature films, and we learned in some of the research I did that he's made his living as a film critic. He also made commercials. That's hard to believe in watching this film, but you can see how his visual style might actually lend itself to commercials. But he talks about, in one of the interviews, he talks about his influences as far as his long shots with stationary camera. John Ford, he mentions Kenji Mizoguchi. In one of the other interviews, he mentions F.W. Murnau's Sunrise. And I very much related this film, Spirit of the Beehive, to Terrence Malick's Badlands, another 1973 film that I talked about it a few videos back. If you like Terrence Malick's style, I think you're going to like Spirit of the Beehive, because they have that same elusive quality to them, that same sense of wonder, preoccupation with nature and the landscapes. Here in Spirit of the Beehive, mushrooms and what's a poisonous mushroom, what's not, water, the lake, there's a water in the film that goes back to the lake of the Frankenstein movie. You could interpret Badlands as a response to the turbulence of the Vietnam War and its effect on American society, just as you can have you can have a reading of Spirit of the Beehive, and similarly in the turbulence of the Spanish Civil War and its aftermath. So the film was even the lead the actor who plays the father. There's so many great supplements to this Criterion release. The father was played by a very famous and popular actor by the name of Fernand Gomez, and there's an interview with him from, I guess, around 2000, where he talks about how he was hired for the role, and he needed to work. He was between jobs, but when he read the script, he didn't understand any of it. He didn't understand the story. He didn't understand his character. He didn't understand the words he was saying. So he said, I want to be in your film, but I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. I don't understand what's going on in this movie. Victor Erice he just said, don't worry about it. No, just do the part. You're perfect for the part, and he was indeed perfect for this part. But nobody probably anticipated that the film would be a success. And definitely not the censors. Victor Erice, in one of these interviews, he says that he found the report, the censors report on the film, because they were very inconsistent under Franco. Franco loved movies, and sometimes they would let quality films get by to say, oh, look at Spanish cinema, we can put out great films as well. But when the censors watched Spirit of the Beehive, their report stated it's incomprehensible. Nobody's going to want to see this. This is a boring, intellectual garbage movie. We might as well just put it out there. Nobody's going to come to see it. And then, surprisingly, it plays at the San Sebastian Film Festival in Spain, and it wins top prize, the first Spanish film ever to win the top prize at the San Sebastian Film Festival. Although it met with mixed reaction, critics loved it, some of the audience loved it, but others thought it was a bore, and they booed it. They actually booed it when the decision was announced. So, but again, it is a film that is endured, and when Gomez, looks back at his career, this was a job of acting where he didn't have to really do anything. He said, I was used to acting, where I give a performance here, I'm just sort of calm and I'm just sort of being. And this is the movie that he's probably going to be most remembered for. So this is the Criterion. This is a Criterion DVD. Now, I did not buy the DVD because it is streaming on the Criterion channel. It looks absolutely great. It looks Blu-ray quality in the streaming, and it's got all the supplements. And again, as I said, they're substantial. They're well worth it. Why no Blu-ray? Criterion sometimes is very mystifying. We're getting all these 4K releases of super popular movies that, to meet the demand of the collectible audience, but one of the great films of all time, considered by many to be one of the great films of all time, is still not been upgraded to Blu-ray. So next up will be another film from 1973, a bit more popular, although it wasn't all that popular in 1973, and that's Don't Look Now, Nicholas Roeg's adaptation of Daphne du Maurier's short story, which I will be reading tonight in preparation for it. I've seen Don't Look Now many, many times over the years. It is one of the most enduring films, certainly, that came out of 1973. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I really do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.